Hi, welcome to Fight to Inhale with the Salty Mermaid. Though my setup's not very mermaidish right now. So I know you guys have seen me scenes from my home office before, so this is nothing new. We currently are doing the whole self isolation. Some people call it self quarantine, social distancing. Um, Sorry, a lot of different names. Don't worry, my hands were clean beforehand. Um, Due to the COVID-19, also called the coronavirus. And um, I guess this is one of those times where, yeah, it is frustrating not being able to go out and about. Especially, I was speaking to my grandmother earlier, and it's one of those things where I had a double lung transplant 7 years ago, and so I thought having to isolate myself from people wasn't going to happen that much outside of, besides having to go to appointments and stuff, I wasn't going to have to stay away from life in general. But right now, kind of have to. I'm one of those who's considered in the at risk category due to cystic fibrosis, having a double lung transplant. I'm also considered diabetic, which is caused by having cystic fibrosis. Um, so that puts me in a at high risk category. So I'm home, and at the moment, my poor hubby, he's the one who has to go out and run errands and all that stuff. And he's a wonderful guy. It's just errands are one of his least favorite things to do. So, and it even harder when toilet paper shortage, which for I know all of people are joking about it, and it is kind of funny. As a CFer, not so much because I do have the GI issues, and um, running out of toilet paper would be really bad, to say the least. My family who grew up with me, shares bathroom with me, they would tell you, yeah, sharing bathrooms were not good, and that's probably TMI, so really won't go into too much detail. But um, for certain groups of people, that's a very very important essential to have. And like I said, as a CFer, I know how important it is. And then kind of just a tiny little rant. The amount that people have stocked up on is insane. Like I said, I do have GI issues, and my husband and I will buy one Costco 30 roll pack, and it lasts us 6 weeks. That's with all my GI stuff. If I'm having like a great 6 weeks, we can actually extend it a little longer. But on average, it's about 6 weeks, which tells me either there's a lot of people out there with some GI problems and they felt they needed 200 rolls of toilet paper for the next few weeks, or people just stocked up way more than they needed. And it is what it is. We are keeping an eye out for when more toilet paper does become available. We're good for at least a week, maybe two. Like I said, if I am careful, making sure to take all my meds, all those important things. You other CFers out there know how important those enzymes are. So yeah, the I know we are utilizing Walmart pickup, which we were using a bit before because with being post transplant, I didn't really want to be going around trying to shop Walmart during flu and cold season. So we were utilizing that, and then my only big exposure would be going to Costco, which one of these days I will give an entire video on how awesome that place is. But um, so for now, I'm kind of holed up in my house. I can tell you that I have my two awesome dogs are more than thrilled to have me home all day. I think they are probably the most excited about this in our household, but which is kind of funny. I have one over here right by my chair, just happily hanging out. The so yeah, they're enjoying this. Um, And so far, I've made 3 loaves of bread. So, I can say, um, is growing up with cystic fibrosis, yeah, had to, in a sense, practice self isolation a lot. I spent many, 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 many weeks worth of my time, probably months worth if I add it all up, in the hospital. Um, and that's not a very fun place to be stuck with. And in the where I went was usually about an hour away from where all my friends were, and so it wasn't like they could ask their mom to drive 15 minutes to the hospital to come visit me. It was, I was stuck there and not seeing any of my friends for several months. At one point, this was pre internet, so you guys can guess how old I am. My best friend and I, we'd play tic tac toe on over the phone. We figured out how to do checkers, which was really, really long. Um, and we would do that on the phone because, I was kind of far. And the, um, sorry, my nose is really itchy today. We, that was just how we were able to, or I could be entertained while he was at his home and I was stuck in a hospital room. During that time, though, I did learn some awesome ways to cope with being stuck, um, in a sense, isolated from the rest of the world. I picked up a few hobbies that I enjoy. Not everybody likes the same stuff, so I started cross stitching and I taught myself how to crochet. Also learned how to sew, and I know for some of you this is like, okay, that's boring. And so those are the big ones. I did dabble a little bit in jewelry making. I still do now, but nothing that was, excitingly like, oh my gosh, this is an awesome product. I should join Etsy and sell it all. Um, so there were those. I read a lot, and I mean, like a lot, a lot. And I got to read some really awesome books and not being interrupted by, life in general. And so I mean, I got to read Michael Crichton at a young age. I was 12 when I first picked up Jurassic Park. There was the Red Wall series that, I fell in love with. All the Little House in Big Woods, all of those. And so I honestly, I mean, there was a hospital stay where, and it was one of my last ones as an adult, where I borrowed my sister's copy of the Hunger Games and read the entire series while, hooked up to IVs. Because uh, I'm not the world's biggest TV person. A little more now because there's streaming and I can actually pick what I watch. But back at that time, it was whatever was on was what you're gonna watch, and what was on was not what I liked. I was that person who stayed up late because that was when Star Trek, the Star Trek reruns would show, or stay up late and watch PBS because that's when they showed the really interesting documentaries. So outside of that, I was doing homework, reading, all those good wholesome things. And so now as an adult, I do, while this is going on, I do have things that I know I can keep busy with. There's plenty of books that I have on my to read list, so I'll be doing that. Unfortunately, some of those books I had scheduled to be held at the library, and now the library is closed to the public for the time being. So it's a little difficult, but like I said, it's doable. Um, and yes, I like to crochet, so I have like books with all kinds of little sticky notes in them saying, this is what I want to make, so I can actually sit down. Last year, actually around this time, I had to do kind of not purposefully self isolation. It was when I had to tried to do my portacath and the removal, and it didn't go well. I am wound up with pleurisy, so kind of stuck at home and having to be careful and force myself to breathe deep, those fun things. So I wound up crocheting myself a new hat, a new scarf, a new blanket. Blanket's awesome. I still use that, and the hat's super cute. Just saying. So these are things that I've already learned what to do to keep myself busy. Currently, this week, like I said, made 3 loaves of bread. Had one of my nieces over because no school, and I have a sister in the medical field. I have my mom in the medical field. Um, these are people who just can't turn around and self isolate just because they're kind of important. So, got to have one of my nieces over, which meant we made pudding, we made bread, um, and yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so we made corned beef and cabbage. She also, got to run around outside in our backyard and keep the dogs busy. And also, I mean, we also did yoga online. There's a few good videos that I would say really worked great. And and also I pulled up some old Taibo videos because kind of like the cardio version of that. And just making some fun ways to keep her busy, but also keep me busy. And then I think she watched Frozen 2 a couple of times. She also watched How to Train Your Dragons 1 and 2. Didn't watch 3 because I don't own that copy. She, so like I said, these were things that we did. And um, I also had to switch, professionally, I work as a tutor, and so a lot of my students I've already switched online, and the rest will be switched online throughout the next coming weeks. So, I got to do some tutoring online, um, and so so, yeah, I'm stumbling a bit. Sorry. Like I said, it's just one of those things where we're just gonna have to get a little creative about how we use this time, and it is also a good time to just slow down. We all, even including me, we have a lot of stuff on our plates, and sometimes we overload our plates and forget, that we need to give us, ourselves that time to for ourselves. So this might be a good time to just sit down and look at what we our priorities are, and and figure out which ones are really that important. And also use the time to, if you've always wanted to, let's say, learn to crochet, this is a good time to sit down and start learning. Last time I checked, Amazon's still delivering, so you can order all your yarn. You also, like, gosh dang it, there's a program called Greatest Courses, and right now they're doing a special where you can order for 3 months and pay $10 a month for unlimited access to all their courses. And I'm trying to talk my husband into letting me take advantage of that because I have been wanting to do that. And I'm what one would call a perpetual learner. So for me, that would be absolutely awesome. The and I know for my tutoring site, I'm trying to find free resources to so my parents that I work with can access those while their kids are with them, all day, 24/7, without any activities to break up that time. No, no gymnastics, no swimming, no baseball, no basketball, none of that. Most of the kids I work with are homeschooled, so they are with their parents for at least a good chunk of the day. the and that was one of the other reasons why I switched this. Not because I also, while I have a lot of students who need help with certain subjects, I also work with a lot of SPED kids, and my specialty are those with medical issues. So they're missing school due to hospitalizations or immune system issues. So I didn't want to put any of those kids at risk because colds, flu, all that's actually really bad for a good chunk of them. And not only would it be bad for me, it's bad for them. So just to keep that quality that I give to my students, it was best to move to an online format. And in my case, it's going to be temporary because it is kind of nice to work with them, you know, face to face, in person, and that interaction is really really hard to replicate on a computer system. So, but like I said, you gotta find things that you enjoy. Luckily, it's not like we're all stuck in a hospital in an isolation room, because I've done that. Not exactly fun, and it gets really boring fast. I can tell you that. So you're at home. You can eat good quality home cooking. It's not like the nasty hospital food, and you're just like, "Dear Lord, what did you give me? I thought this was supposed to make me better, but that looks like something that's going to kill me." Um, and yes, I have thought that about some food. Sometimes I wondered if they just opened a can of dog food and dumped it on. Yeah, it's like, oh. Um, so you know, use this time to do things like that. If you've been wanting to make see how big of a Lego castle you can build, do it. You know, I know it's probably not the world's most productive thing, but it also allows you to do something a little bit relaxing. Like I said, as for me, I have a lot of books that I need to read. Probably do some writing that I mean, I usually try writing every day, but it's usually for little tiny chunks of time when I'm between students. And so now I have some time to do a little more extensive writing. I have, so that part I'm probably going to do. My dogs are probably going to need to learn some more little tricks, because. um, And yeah, and oh, and the other thing is too, for those of you, and I know you've probably seen it online, but just can't stress it enough. Check in on your at-risk family members, your sorry, your grandparents, your great uncle, whoever's having to do this self-isolating. Give them a call, let them know that you think of them. If they're tech savvy, do some sort of video chat. I know there's FaceTime, there's sorry, Google Hangouts. There's all kinds of options. So make sure to do that. A lot even we're not really designed to be isolated for long periods of time. It's just so check in on the people you care about. Whether it's a phone call, video chat, write a letter. I think letter writing is something that needs to be revived. I always loved receiving letters in the mail, so maybe we should start that habit of doing that again. And then if you have elderly neighbors, check on them, see if they need anything if you're going to go do a supply run. Because, yeah, some people don't get out that much or at all, and it'd be nice to just feel like your people still care about you. And I think that's pretty much it for now. I do know, hopefully, at the end of this, we do all learn to realize how important our teachers are. They put up with not just your kids, but several other people's children for several hours every single day, and they figure out how to keep them busy for that entire time period. And it's not an easy job. I get students 1 hour at a time, sometimes 2 hours. That's the max. And there are times when it's like, I'm not sure what to do today. And teachers have to do this every single day. And so I mean, if your kid has a teacher who one day decided that they're just watching a movie that day, give the teacher a break, because they probably needed it. And that's important, honestly. I and if you happen to have Disney Plus, National Geographic's on there, and you can find some really cool educational videos for your children that way. That's a little tutor tip for you. As for just all my other CF friends and transplant friends, I hope you guys stay well and just, keep yourself as safe as you can while still enjoying the perks of life. A lot of times we already know how important it is to slow down, and sometimes our bodies force us to. And this is one of those times when we're all being forced to slow down at the same time, and it is tough. I'm not going to say, oh, this is easy, and oh, this is how you handle it, because each of us are different. I know that some of us would prefer to be outside all the time. Some of us would prefer, going to the gym. And right now, it's one of those things where having to figure out what's going to be beneficial for us and what will hurt us. And at the same time, we're also trying to look at what is going to be the best for our community as a whole, as well as what's best for us. Because we have to look at both now. It's not just, me, what's good for me. We have to look at what's good for everyone. And especially in our current society, we're not used to having to think that way. So, yeah, do what you can to get through this, and find ways for yourself that you can be productive. And whether it's deciding to turn your kitchen into a cooking lab. I mean, like, cooking meals, not any of that illegal stuff. Or, writing a new book. And I'm not saying that it needs to be published. It just for you if you want. Doesn't even have to be good. Just something that you got to do for you. Or, let's see. The other thing is, I have a bunch of slides, and for my microscope that I had ordered for tutoring. I might just sit down and look at each and every one of them, because I'm kind of interested to see what they all look like. That's the nerd in me. In case nobody's noticed, I am actually a very huge nerd. So I think after transplant, I watched Avengers, the first one, like not a million, but pretty close, because I like it, and two, it was a wonderful distraction from all the pain of just being cut open. Yeah. But yeah, do figure out some fun ways. Go camping in your living room. Have if you have kids, pull out sleeping bags and pillows and have like a mock sleepover and let them watch movies until midnight. Make this something that you actually, a time that you were able to make some new memories, things that they're going to remember years later down the road and say, oh wow, that was actually a fun time. I remember people being scared, but that was fun. Let them remember that stuff. And remember, yes, this is a pandemic. Yes, how do you say it is scary when it's something you're not completely understanding, and it's not great. And I probably would be thinking that it was no big deal if I didn't have to pay attention to, things like flu and cold viruses that spread around for my own health. And as somebody who's always having to make sure, using good germ control, sanitizing, washing my hands, like, honestly, I use an eczema lotion because it's the only one that keeps my hands calm, because the skin gets itchy, sometimes it burns, because I wash my hands so often. And so, yeah, if you guys are having any of those effects, eczema cream. It works. It's great. But don't grab all the bottles, please, because there are those of us who have to make sure to use it more often. But like I said, it's having to learn from a young age about germ control. Sorry, my dogs hear something outside. And so, knowing what to do to keep things sanitary at my own house. And like after my niece went home, I went around, cleaning things up and sanitizing, because she's a great kid. But, kids still don't always remember to wash their hands when they probably should, like if they rub their nose or cough or sneeze or any of that. Luckily, she didn't have any weird bugs. but that's something I do. And that's not like a new thing. That is the norm for me. I even had to explain to her one time how long to wash your hands because she would just go, a little bit, okay, done. And so, and this was before we had ever heard of the coronavirus. This is an everyday thing. The only not so everyday thing is having to stay home and not go out and, make trips to Hobby Lobby to purchase supplies for a new project or going to Creative Apple to find, and no, these guys aren't sponsoring me, so just so you know, but going to, my local educational store to get supplies for a new student that I have. Those are things that I do. Or, one of my favorite things is my weekly trips to the library. Yeah, like I said, nerd, and I happen to love doing my trips to the library. Just go in, see what they have, see what new books they have, pick up whatever I put on hold. I mean, it's just, yeah, complete nerd. And I'm not really ashamed of it. Sorry, but I'm not. Um, and these are things that I'm having to put on hold for now. And luckily, can still take a walk. Just have to make sure I'm not around people. Um, so that part is still allowed, thank God. And it's just other things have to wait on. There was a family thing my sisters and I were going to do, and we're rescheduling it for later. There was a conference that, even though I was attending remotely, there was a conference that I was looking forward to that was supposed to be happening this weekend, and it was canceled. And so these are things that, we're all having to make these adjustments, and if we all make them, hopefully we'll get through it unscathed. And that's the ultimate goal here. So do what you can to make this more bearable. If sitting down and binge watching Marvel movies is what's going to help make this bearable, then do it. I mean, don't forget, get up, move around, take some breaks. It's really important. But yeah, or if sitting down and doing a mock art class with your kids is going to make it bearable, then do that. If you need to rearrange your closet, do that. Do things that will make it feel bearable. And in the end, you might actually come out finding out you found some new things that you love to do. You might realize that you have a hidden talent that you didn't even know about. A good example is a few years back, my husband, this was when he and I were dating, he got hit by a car. He was riding his bike and a car ran a red light and hit him. And not good. His doctor put him on 8-week leave from work. And this is a guy who cannot stay still unless he needs stuff to do. So he decided, since he had to be on leave from work, he had to find something to keep him busy while trying to heal. He wound up trying out gardening, and turned out he really liked it, and he has a knack for it. So now every year my husband sits down wintertime, he sits there and starts planning out where everything's going to go for our spring and summer garden. He goes all out. Now, we don't plant everything he plants, but he plans it all. And then we'll sit there and look at the budget and see what actually is feasible for planting. But he loves gardening. He loves taking care of plants. He would not have figured this out until his doctor had made him take an 8-week break, and he needed something to do to make that break more bearable. And now, he spends time outside in the yard with plants. Sorry, sinus issue, nothing contagious. So yes, sometimes this might end up being a good thing, and hopefully we all come out as better people. I really do hope that. This much time of having to do looking internally and having to really, some of us might reevaluate some things that we're doing. even reevaluating careers. I'm hoping that we all come out much, much better than when we went in. And I do hope everybody stays healthy, honestly, please, and take the precautions you're supposed to. Wash your hands. And I can say this from experience. One of the big things when I was learning about life after transplant was they emphasized hand washing and making sure we learned how to wash our hands and what to do to prevent germs. So don't don't undervalue that, because it is important. It is a huge, huge thing when it comes to defense against germs. And I could go on a long tangent about, when hand washing came in and the differences it made it in the medical community and all that. But overall, yes, wash your hands. If you've gone outside and you come back in, wash your hands. Wash your hands every time before you eat, every time before you prepare meals, after you pet your pets. Might be a reason why my hands are so dry, because I love my pets and I have to wash my hands a lot. But yeah, wash your hands. And I mean, if you're concerned, you can set a timer and wash your hands some more. But those soap and water, good back and forth, the 20 seconds, it's important. It does make a difference. And if you can eat healthy, that also makes a difference. And I'm not saying there's some miracle food out there that's going to prevent you from catching any illness out there, but the healthier your body is, the better its defense system. And we all know how important good nutrition is. So, and each of us are different. So I'm not going to sit here and say, you got to eat this and you got to make sure you eat this, because we're different. And you're going to know what makes your body feel the best. So if for you, your best is eating a vegetarian type diet and lots of good fruits and veggies and some whole grains, go for it. If your best is eating a paleo type diet and you feel your best there, then that's what you do. I adhere to some weird CF diet. So, yeah, I'm not, and that's where, I'm eating enough salt for my system, because at some point I need to sit down and explain about uh, what causes half the stuff that I go through. And then, making sure I have to get the right amount of calories. Right now, I think I actually have that part figured out. It took me, 38 years to figure out the right amount of calories for myself, and I'll stick to that, and hopefully it doesn't change, because, man, that was a lot of work. And, whereas my husband, he eats a very different diet. It's very interesting watching, cooking in this household, because he can't eat some of the stuff I eat. And if I ate the way he did, my blood sugars would plummet. But for him, that's what keeps him healthy, is having his diet at a certain point, and it's actually good for him. And so making sure that you do food-wise what is good for you. So if you're allergic to milk, don't be drinking milk. I'm not going to sit around and be like, you need to drink milk so you can get the calories, and it turns out you have a dairy allergy. That would be awful. So don't do it. And that's an extreme example, but it's making sure that you take care of your bodies. There's all kinds of awesome fitness videos on YouTube, so find one that you like and utilize it, and just keep going from there. Yes, we need to get some outside time, so find a good time when you can go for a walk in your neighborhood, or drive down somewhere, that's not populated. That sounds awful to say. And take a walk. I know, hopefully, if things hopefully things get better soon, but at some point I'm probably going to go take a hike, like a literal hike, not, get out of town, but go take an actual hike somewhere, because I'm going to need to get outside, but I don't want to be around people. That just be really bad. And that's actually something, this is why my husband's another winner, is after transplant, he took me hiking in secluded areas, nothing creepy people, because he knew I couldn't be around people for a while and I needed to be, safe. And so he would make sure to take me places for hikes that were less traveled, I guess you could say. And I really liked it. Um, so yeah, it's just get creative. You're not gonna be able to go to the gym, and half the time I'm always wondering how many germs are there. But I know I'm rambling a bit, but just do things that are gonna make you help you get through this, and without breaking any of the rules or recommendations that's been applied to everybody. Um, that's a big thing. I don't want you to get in trouble for doing something that you think, oh well, she said. No, if we're all going to get through this, we do need to stick with our social distancing. We need to keep our at risk people safe. And because in reality, we all have a grandma, a grandpa, a great aunt. Even our parents could be, in that at risk category. You might have a best friend who's in the at risk category. You may have you may know a child who's in the at risk category. We all know somebody who's at risk. So by us doing this is the best thing we can do for them. And I'm hoping that this doesn't last long, but if it does, just remember we are doing something that will benefit other people. It's not just us. And if you need to take to YouTube to talk about it, or if you have awesome ideas, please share them with people. We are, as a species, we are very, very social. So this is going to be tough. And I'm not going to say it's easy. I mean, I'm an introvert and I don't find this idea easy. So if you need to, like, do your video chatting, share how you guys are coping with everybody else. That way, if because some of us aren't going to think the same things you do. We're not going to think of the same ideas, I should say. I mean, before my husband, I never thought of having a date night in a hospital. I mean, goodness gracious, how do you do date night in a hospital? Yet he pulled it off. Those, little battery powered candles and but like I said, he pulled it off. And so if somebody like him can do date night in a hospital, we can definitely pull off this social distancing. We can figure out how to make it fun. We have our whole homes full of supplies, and with the amount we pay for our homes, whether you're an owner or a renter, it better be worth us having to stay here for for a long period. And yeah, I know I'm doing my video for my office, which is also my sewing room and my crafting room, and it has all my tutoring supplies. Everything's like all crammed in here. I can promise you the rest of my house doesn't look like this. It's just my personal space that has all the supplies that keep me from going stir crazy. And probably over the next few days, I will plan out some much better planned videos. I might do some book recommendations. I already had a few for CF and transplant, and so I'll definitely do those. I might do things that are more child friendly. I'll probably put on my tutoring YouTube, just so students can access that, and for reading ideas, because there's gonna, we're gonna need that. And honestly, I don't know if I will ever show any of my cooking experiments, because I'm like I said, my diet is very different than most of the outside community. If you've ever seen a CFer plan their food, we are very much looking at, how many calories can we get, the nutrition we can get. We want like this something that is very calorie dense and nutrient dense at the same time. So like avocados, my best friend. but somebody else might be looking at that and going, "Oh no, 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 no." And like I said, I don't cook the way I do for myself. I don't cook that way for my husband. So, but yeah. So please share ideas that you have for getting through this. Any at-home activities that can be done. That's both, adults and children. Let's keep it all, PG rated, because probably not always, yeah. And yeah, and just let's try to let's try and work at keeping everybody's spirits up. So I'm going to end this now before it turns into like an hour long segment. And everybody have a great day. And I'll see you guys later. This is the Salty Mermaid. Tune